Also through email, I got a message from a young lady who had seen the baby sweater, and she was wondering how I did the flower pattern. I can show you. I have to make a bit of a start here first. I'm going to do it in the Z twist in this case. You can do a lot of things by making holes. I mean, really, a lot. I visited Mrs. Reinders, who is a Dutch woman who has worked in sprang for many, many years, and she makes amazing work. And I saw, when I visited her, a few, I don't know the proper English name, they're like sashes, and within those sashes they made patterns, really figurines. It was almost like bobbed lace, where they made letters and numbers and little men and women and houses and animals and plants and whatnot. It was quite amazing. So I still have a lot to learn, because the flowers that I do are really a very, very simple variation on that same technique that I saw in those old sashes. I'm working with 8 threads at the top, therefore also 8 at the bottom, and I want to make a little flower that consists of 4 petals. First petal I want to make right in the middle of the sprang. So, because I've got 8 threads here, after 4 threads at the top layer, I got to make a little hole. Let's do that again. I got to say what I'm doing. It really helps to understand, at least for me it does. You pick up 2, you move down 1, you pick up 1, you move down 1, you pick up 1. Now I already have 4 new top layer threads, but only 2 at the bottom, so I move 2 from the top to the bottom layer as a pair, both going down. Now the next thread that I pick up from the bottom layer, I again pick up a pair, so 2 move up. Now I go back to single threads, 1 going down, 1 going up, 1 going down, 1 going up, and because I started the row with 2, I also end the row with 2. So I've basically made a split. This is also the same way that I make an opening for your head in case of making a sweater. I have to close it starting with 1. It's almost like a separate piece of sprang now. But I will attach them back together again in the next row I'll do, because it's time to make petal number 2 and 3. I'm going to leave 3 top layers here, then I'm going to make a hole. At the other end, the same thing, which leaves these 2 threads in the middle. I'll show you what I mean. Again, picking up 2, dropping 1, picking up 1. I already have my 3 top threads, only 1 at the bottom. I want 3 at the bottom as well. So again, I move down a pair of threads. I pick up a pair of threads and drop a pair. Pick up a pair and then going back to single threads, 1 going down, 1 going up. But because I started with 2, I also have to end with 2. And again, a row to close it, as I call it. I don't always follow the terminology of Peter Collingwood, basically because when I started doing sprang, I had never even heard of his book. So I kind of came up in Dutch, of course, with my own way of naming things. And even now that I do know his book and the terms that he uses, it's still hard to translate them to Dutch. So again, I'm using my own terminology here and there. We have 2 new splits here, 2 new holes for the 2 new leaves, but we still got leaf number 4 to do, which I'm going to put in the same position as the first leaf, so smack in the middle. 2 the threads I lift up, 1 that goes down, 1 goes up, 1 goes down, 1 goes up, which makes the total of new top layer threads, again 4, moving 2 down to make sure that I've got 4 in that bottom layer as well, picking up 2, going back to single threads, moving 1 down, moving 1 up, moving 1 down, moving 1 up, and started with 2, so I have to end with 2. I know I'm at some point starting to repeat myself, but again, it helps me a lot to say what I'm doing. But with sprang, because you are constantly repeating yourself, it does get a bit old sometimes. See, it's still spiraling. Not as much as it did before because it's a wider band than the earlier ones. Still split here. Closing it now by again doing a row beginning with a single thread and therefore also ending with a single thread. Now it's still open here at the bottom and I don't want that. So I'm doing an extra pair of rows, one starting with 2. And as if nothing happened, I'm picking up now the next of the bottom layer. And that really closes the petal at the bottom. Ending with 2, because I started with 2. And again, picking up single threads to close that final pair of rows that I did. And again, this is where I usually pick up a crochet hook, because my fingers are either too thick or the space in between the threads is too small. It's 1 out of 2. Oops. Just push it through. Because I'm not going to bother now. I just wanted to show you the flowers. And especially in a sweater, you know, if you look at it like that, you barely even see the flower, but as soon as you wear the sweater and the material stretches out slightly, there it is. And again, you can make endless variations. Once you figure out how these holes are made, which is really not that hard, oh, there are so many things you can do with that. So let your own creativity just run wild. But you got to sort of get a hang of it first. So I'll also show you the different possibilities with these holes, as I've also used them in the same kind of sweaters.